Okay, we're recording. This is Wrong Speed Record Chat number 56. We have Mr. Sammy Powell. Hi.
Hello. Hiya.
How you doing, Sammy?
Yeah, I'm all right. Yeah, not bad. Not bad. Not bad. How are you?
Good. Where are you right now?
I'm in my living room. In Victoria Park in Manchester. It's quite autumnal here. Very autumnal, in fact.
Yeah. So where are we? We're towards the tail end of September.
Yeah.
The year 2021. And you put shows on in Manchester.
Yes. Yeah.
And that's how we met.
Yes.
So, Beauty Witch is the name of what you get up to.
Yeah. The Beauty Witch.
The Beauty Witch. Sorry.
Yeah.
Of course. Okay, before we get into why you do it, why is it called that?
I should really remember this far better than I do. It's in a book. It's in the Electric Kool-Aid Acid Test, that Tom Wolfe book.
Okay.
And it's a character in that is called at some point the Beauty Witch, but I can't remember who. And it's a really bad anecdote, but yeah. So that's as I remember it anyway at the time. And I just needed a name, and I just got bored of thinking of names. I saw that and I thought, it's fairly interesting and ambiguous.
Yeah. So promoters need names, right? Promoters need names.
Yeah. Like, I mean, it's not the quintessence. It's not like the most important thing, but yeah, you need somebody to get people interested. And so I thought, just have something that I can remember 8 years on.
So yeah, 8 years on. You started in 2013.
Yes. Yeah. Kind of started sending emails in like spring 2013, and did my first one in like September 2013.
And all in Manchester?
Initially done a couple of things in Leeds. Pre all this, I did one in Hebden Bridge, just branching out a little bit, and maybe but mostly, it is always going to be here, just because I live here and it's far easier just do stuff where you live.
And where are you from initially? Are you from Manchester?
I am from I was born in Burnage, just down the road, and I lived here till I was 9, and then I moved away to the west coast of Wales and Cardigan Bay. Do you know where Aberystwyth is?
Well, yes. I'm not sure I've been there. Yeah.
That's most people's reply to it. But we moved about 45 minutes away from Aberystwyth towards Cardigan when I was 9 years old, and I was there till I was 16, and then then I came back to Manchester. And been here ever since, really.
Yeah. So sounds like age-wise, you timed it well to come back to start going to gigs. 16's a peak year, right?
Yeah, for sure. I was listening to the one you did with Matt from Sly and the Family Stone. Stone. No, not.
Oh, I wish.
Sly and the Family Drone, and he was talking about going to see like the Ikara cult and like Martini Henry when he was young, and it was like, can only dream of such things like when I was a teenager. It's one of them. It's like it's about 3 hours away from anywhere where I lived, like the village I lived in. I lived in a couple of villages actually, but just that part of Wales is right. You're 3.75 hours away from Manchester. You're about 3 hours away from Liverpool, and you're just under 3 hours away from Cardiff, and another 3 hours away from Bristol.
God damn.
So it was just like, you weren't aware, it's just like there was no chance of going to see anything.
Yeah.
We had Reef and prime teenage dirtbag era Wheatus, I think, in Aberystwyth in my time.
I'm sorry to hear that. So you moved back to Manchester at 16.
Yeah.
And by that point you're into music, right?
Yeah. I mean, I was mad into music when I was there. It was just when I was back living in Wales. It's just that the only avenue you had for it was just like really like mainstream magazines and like music TV, which I'm not even sure if that exists anymore. Do you know, like MTV2 and that kind of thing,
Right.
like Kerrang and all that stuff?
That's so weird. You said music TV. I was like, what the
I
hell?
know.
And it's MTV. It's just MTV. Yeah. MTV. Yeah.
I'm
But
not even sure if that exists anymore. Like, you know, that sounds completely alien now, doesn't it? Like, you're consuming music through television, but that's like pretty much all we had pretty much back then. And I mean, like, I used to listen to the radio a fair bit back then. Kind of not as religiously as I wanted to right now. Like, I found John Peel a little bit in like my last 18 months I was there. But yeah, I mean, it is weird without, you know, if you can't go to shows, it's all you have. It's all you have is just like what you read in magazines and things like that. And yeah, strange, an odd thing now, a really odd thing now that like I've just been a part of it here for so long.
do you think that you're so heavily involved in it because you weren't heavily involved in it young, like yourself?
Yeah, for sure. I kind of think that was that thing when I got here. It's like, you know, when it is around you, it's just like you do appreciate what you didn't have for so long. That just having choice is like really surreal when it's like, you know, yeah, you are a 3-hour journey away from anywhere, and all you have is like pictures and interviews with people for so long. Like it's all I really wanted to do when I got here.
So what memorable like shows did you go to when you first moved back to Manchester?
Well, well, originally, like I got a job. I got a job in a music venue. Do you remember that venue you played in, like the Roadhouse?
Yes.
Yeah. So I got a job collecting glasses in there. The first year there, me and my mum, we didn't have any money, so I really didn't see a lot in my first year. I saw first gig I went back to, what I saw when I came back was a friend of my mum's. Her boyfriend was working with a band called The Long Cut here, and they were playing like this MTV thing at the Student Union with a lineup that had Editors, The Kooks, and Mystery Jets all on one bill, which was still exciting, but it was also like, oh wow, well, you know, seeing the Kooks at 16 is the same as seeing Kooks any other time in your life, you know.
Right.
But, yeah, not long after that, this was not long after my 17th. Yeah, not too long after I was 17. I became 17. I started working at the Roadhouse, just collecting glasses at club nights and things like that. And that was really eye-opening. We had loads of like really great hip hop club nights at the time. So I saw loads of things I've never even heard before at the time. You know, like DJ Format and Youngblood's brass band, this like, you know, 8-piece like brass hip hop collective from New Orleans and stuff. And that was wicked. That was absolutely amazing. I had no concept of any of these things, you know, just like when you get away from magazines, you get away from mainstream radio and stuff. And it was mental. It was really, really happening. As well as like loads of like bands who were new at the time. Like I was really into that band Be Your Own Pet, and they played there like not so long after that, and I really enjoyed it. Yeah, it was great. It was stuff like, you know, I probably wouldn't listen to a lot of that now, especially like those guitar bands back then. But yeah, it was amazing. It was amazing being like, you know, again, coming from that and being a teenager to like doing it as a job. It was nuts. It was absolutely great.
And Manchester's always been one of those cities that bands play.
Yeah.
There's surprisingly big cities in the UK that bands don't play.
Yeah, for sure.
Including like something like Birmingham and whatnot. You know, bands will avoid playing places, you know, weirdly. I don't know, you know, but Manchester's somewhere that everyone always goes to. So
yeah. You were saying you don't play Leeds that much, right?
It was kind of okay. The Leeds thing. We've played, instead of Leeds, we played Bradford twice. And we played Shipley twice.
Oh right, like Golden Lab?
Golden Cabinet in Shipley, which were awesome nights. And then we played the one in 12 in Bradford twice. And that just seemed to be instead of Leeds. We did play Leeds last time we were doing that area. So anyhow. So 2013, what the hell made you start putting gigs on? The poison chalice of putting shows on.
Well, I'd worked there for a long time, and I've never had a lot of foresight in terms of what I really wanted to do. You know, I've never really worked on any kind of principle like that. Even when I was in school, like I never, you know, I didn't go to university in the end because I never really thought about it. You know, not at all really. And I'd worked there for a few years. No, a long time by then. How long have I been there? 8 years. 8 years by the time I was working. You know, I'd still been working there, and I had to do like other jobs outside of it and stuff. And yeah, like I don't know, I just kind of wanted to stay. I knew I wanted to get involved in music somehow, and I wanted to stay involved in it. And I've got no desire to perform at all. You know, being a musician has never been an aspiration. You know, I'm really impatient when it comes to learning stuff, you know, in general. And yeah, just learning instruments and stuff. I've tried, I really have, but it's just not for me. I get like, you know, I want to be Tony Iommi after free lessons or something like that. It wasn't going to happen. And so yeah, I never thought about being in a band. And like I tried being enrolling in like one of those private courses for like sound engineering and things like that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, my mum thought it'd be a really good idea for this because you know, like, you know, you're really into music and that. But what yeah, I didn't I probably should have conveyed more at the time was I hate tech shit. I really, really don't like, especially to the degree that you have to do that job well. I really don't like tech stuff, and that just wasn't the avenue for me either. And all I ever did was go to gigs. Like when I wasn't working at the Roadhouse, I went to shows all the time, and just thought, why not? Really, this seems like a fairly viable, you know, avenue to go into. And I'd gotten some inheritance because my dad passed a few years before, and I just had the means to. And I thought, like, well, again, I'm not really asked about university. I'm not asked about traveling, so why don't I just give it a go and, like, you know, just see what happens. And I suppose it's been a success. I suppose, yeah, it has been a success. Sure. So, and yeah, just carried on. Really, it was one of them. I just wanted to see how I would do after about 6 months or so, and then yeah, it's just like persisted. Really.
Yeah. Can you remember the first show you put on?
I did. Yeah. It was a band from Liverpool. It was like this baroque Syd Barrett, Pink Floyd tinged sight band called the Wicked Whispers. And I don't know what they did after that. Not a lot of people came. It was on a Sunday. Yeah, it was some kind of an eye opener, I suppose. Yeah, it wasn't. I'd love to say massive triumph, but it was just like, yeah, it was just one person's first gig in town on a Sunday night, really.
Yeah, and the lesson learned: don't put shows on a Sunday night.
Yeah. But I suppose as well, the other thing, just going back to that, was that I did work in a music venue, and I did know people who had put on gigs. I've surrounded people who put on events like all the time, really. So yeah, I was incredibly unfortunate in that regard because like a lot of people, I think they're put off just because they don't know, you know, they just don't know the ins and outs of it. You know, the things like that. I mean, like the things you had to learn when it comes to like, you know, most bands just want like what it covers to cover cost, what it costs to cover petrol and things like that. And like I don't drive, so I had to find out what that is, you know, just going into it originally and things like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was fortunate. It was kind of one of them. It was like I was in the right place at the right time to get into it. When, you know, then that doesn't come for a lot of people. So in hindsight, I feel very fortunate, really, that that came.
Yes, if you were still in Aberystwyth. Would it have happened?
Almost. I don't know. I mean, I think I could have done it to agree. Like, would you play Aberystwyth? Somebody asked you to, like, you know, come to Aberystwyth on a.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah.
I'm not nothing against it. It's just it's just not. You know, it's tough. No.
Yeah, it is tough. It's tough getting there. Again, you are 3 hours away pretty much from anywhere else you'd have to go. So, and it's just not convenient, really. Like,
yeah. So, I've got a list of bands that you've put on here, and it's by no means what's the word, complete, but it's varied. It's more varied than people I think probably think. Yeah. Your music taste then is wide, or you just how are you working? How are you choosing what bands you're picking?
It's a funny one, that, really, because like about in 2013 was like, it kind of seemed like the peak of the, I don't know what you call it, contemporary wave of popularity for put in inverted commas psychedelic music.
Right.
And I did listen to a lot of that at the time, but I was kind of coming at it from the point of view, like the idea of putting psychedelia as a music genre is completely, it's completely foolhardy, because it's a subjective experience, and it, or it's like, to my mind anyway. So I was coming at it from the point of view of like, I really like stuff like Dead Meadow, and I also really like stuff like Sun and Earth and things like that, and some of the kind of more Brian Jonestown Massacre tinged kind of shoegaze stuff.
Yeah.
But when I started doing a couple of bands closer to that, all I got offered was bands like that. And I mean, that documentary is good and they have some good tunes, but I'm really not into them enough for that to be my whole thing.
No.
So I had to make a decision, and it was like, one of the first shows I did was like, I was really in. I've never been to the festival. I must admit, first off, but like, I found so much music through just like looking at what Roadburn Festival, the festival in Holland, what they were doing and the bills they had and stuff. And I got into like, doom and slow stuff that way. So like, yeah, I did. So I did like Conan. That was one of the first things I did. That band from Liverpool, 3-piece doom band, and all the people that really like shoegazy psychedelia definitely didn't like Conan. And it was one of them. I think I just had to make a decision of like, well, I can either do all that, I can either, persist with stuff that I'm not really enjoying for the sake of like, that's what it's in the zeitgeist and people want, or I could just say, fuck it, and I'll just do what I want to do, really. And if I had gone the other way, I think I would have gotten out of it really quickly. I don't think I'd lasted anywhere near, as long as I done.
Yeah, this is the thing. I've got, so here's just a couple, right? So it goes from, you put on those.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Amazing.
And all the way to these, right?
Yeah.
But that, for those who don't know, is quite a wide distance musically.
Yeah.
I would say.
And
but also I've got here other things. You've got like Fat White Family you put on.
Yeah. That was oh, do you want the poster for that? I've got the poster.
Yeah, oh god, if you got posters, let's see posters.
Yeah. So this is my Sex Pistols in Manchester story. This is like, 800 people said they're at this, but there was only like 27. So this is so that's it. That's
cool.
What's the date on that? 1st November 2013. And that was potluck, pure luck. That they just started getting some press by then. And I think they were on Mark Riley's radio show that week. And then like I just missed all the national press. So it was literally just off that 6 music session that like 27 people turned up.
All right.
And then I did them another time at a venue called Gulliver's here, and then they went off to the Stratosphere, and I've never heard from them again. So, such is the way.
That's interesting. What do you think about that when you do bands at a certain size and then they get too big, and I use quotation marks, and cringe?
Yeah.
And do you know what I mean? Like then they go to the next level or whatever. How do you feel about
that? I feel kind of more content with that now than I did back then. I kind of felt like, I wasn't too aggrieved about that one, because like that gig was about the 6th show I'd ever done. Because again, it was potluck. It was potluck that like I just happened to get them before they entered like, a wider state of consciousness to the general public. And if I was them and they were offered stuff that big national promoters can do, I wouldn't have stayed with me either.
Right.
That was just like the case at the time. I mean, unfortunately it's one of them. It's just that if you are of a disposition where you want to be as successful as possible, then you are going to have to face with, well, we can play for you and you can give us everything you can. We really appreciate it. Or we can go with the people that book Oasis or like, whatever, the Cortinas. I mean, it's just like, that's industry. That's the shame. That's where the idea of industry kicks in.
Yeah.
And if you go against that, then, you're only going to have so much to offer. And, I don't begrudge anybody, but it's just like, but by now it's just a point where, it's an inevitable,
Yeah. What is the, what would you say was the biggest show you've put on?
It's kind of unfortunate, really. I put on this black metal band called Mugwa, MGLA. Have you ever heard of them? Like, come across them?
No.
Yeah, some booking agent sent them to me and said they would like it done 200 tickets or something. The last time they played in the UK, and I listened to it. I'd never done a black metal show because I don't listen to a lot of it. I listen to some of it, and I know who Burzum are and all that kind of thing. And I was just curious because I'd never done one before, and I've never wanted to have that thing about like, that kind of explains the Dalek thing as well. It's like, I never want to be like, well, I'll never do a hip hop show because I just do guitar bands. So I was like, all right, then, yeah, sure. I'll just like, I did that. And it was nuts. Like it sold out in 2 weeks in a 400 cap music venue. And so I did the show and it was fine and whatever. I wasn't there on the day because it was my partner's birthday. So a friend looked after it. So I never met them or anything like that. And they wore balaclavas on stage and stuff. And then lo and behold, like a month later, they got Antifa found a bunch of stuff that one of them had released a record 20 years ago that was like really anti-Semitic or something like that. And I was like, oh man. It's like it's the murky waters of black metal bands. It's just like, you really have to figure out, you really have to do like, be worried about like, just don't be, I don't know, was like cliched, don't be a cliched fascist black metal band,
and maybe, and maybe if you weren't like completely in deep with it and you didn't know who they were, then you wouldn't know that maybe they had a history, and then you get caught up in the tentacles of
and like a kickoff about that. So that is my biggest show ever.
All right. I see you've got the band. I'm going off my list here, and it's a band I always struggle to pronounce. Oranssi Pazuzu.
Oranssi Pazuzu, yeah, that's next year. That's next year in May.
That'd be big, right?
Yeah. It's going to be that's going to be 2 years since I confirmed it. Right. Such is the case with the time that we live in, because it was meant to be in May. It was confirmed last year in May, for this year in May, and now it's going to happen next year in May. So, and Pigs, the next Pig show I'm doing here, that will be my biggest show. That's about 1,500 people.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. So that is nuts.
So that's an example of a band who have I don't mean it like this, but have stuck with you because you've done them through time, right?
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, I really appreciate it. I really appreciate it. And again, I don't hold grudges against people that want to, work with other people and stuff. But I suppose they understand it. Because they've been apart for this so long, and they kind of have that empathy, I suppose. I suppose like the music industry's found them rather than like, do you know what I mean? They've not gone to the music industry, like the music industry has found them, and they've decided to like, take as many people, help as many people out from that underground scene, if that's the choice of words you want to see, with them. So I can only be thankful for that, really. I am.
I think Anthony's putting them on in London.
Yeah.
And I think it's like the Electric Ballroom, or quite like another 1,500-y sort of place.
Yeah. It'll be surreal. Again, one of those things I never thought, after 6 people on however many people it was on a Sunday night 8 years ago, I never thought I'd ever reach the lofty heights of 1,500 people. So it'd be great.
What would you consider your biggest? And this is what the people want, by the way. The biggest disaster?
I've not had a lot of. I've had loads of stuff where I thought like this is going to do really well, and it just hasn't. You know, it's just losing lots of money. Really, that's all the content I've got for this. I'd love like salacious anecdotes about like prima donnas and divas and stuff like that. But I'm not sure now. Really, they all kind of blur into one. Really, the ones that do really, really badly. Circle didn't do very well when I put them on here, so that was a shame. That was one of those things. Do you know Cardinal Fuzz, the record label?
The label, yeah, of course.
Yeah. So Dave Cambridge, he talks about that a lot. That things that look really big on the internet don't. It's really important to understand that things that look really big on the internet, they don't translate into the physical nature of people buying things. In his case, with like record labels, people going to like gigs and things like that. So yeah, that Circle show, I don't know, it was just a combination of like that Terminal record, which is ace, it's really, really good. But this tour happened about a year afterwards and stuff, and it was like a Friday of a bank holiday, and it just didn't work. Just like
weird,
just happened.
Because that was on Southern, wasn't it? That album.
It was on Southern Lord, yeah, Southern Lord. Again, yeah, you'd assume, being on a massive label like Southern Lord, like something that would work out, and it just like, for whatever reason, who knows? But that's it though. Like they were great, they were amazing. When I got to like see Circle, it was great. But yeah, it's just the nature of it. Just like didn't work out.
Yeah. No, it's brutal. I mean, you I was trying to think when we first met and gig that you first put us on, and I can't remember. So I'm hoping you'll remember. But one of the gigs I remember playing for you that was really weird was the Sounds from the Other City festival in Salford.
Yeah, on Chapel Street.
What? Tell the people about the venue that we played in.
You played in the Angel Centre. I think it's a community centre, and they have like a doctor's surgery within that.
Yeah.
Within the centre, and you played in what is normally the waiting room of that doctor's surgery.
Yeah.
Like the canteen is right next to you. I think I don't know if you'd see that from that, but yeah, they're like where the kitchen is right next to it. So you played like facing the kitchen of the canteen of a community centre in Salford.
Yeah.
Great though.
Yeah, what was that one about? Yeah, no, it was really fun. So, that was so that was in Salford. And that was the Sounds from the Other City festival. How many other festivals have you been like? I see it with a lot of other promoters where there'll be a festival in London or whatever, and like trying to think of an example. I don't know. The Quietus get given a stage to look after,
like Desert Fest and things like that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, have you done that often? Is that something you?
I haven't done it anywhere else. I'm not sure really, maybe like but Sounds ask me every year, and that's fine for me. But that's great though, because like you get given a budget to basically put on whatever you want, and you do have to savor things like that, for just putting on bills that with no risk,
Yeah,
it's the only time of the year basically I can put an event that's got no risk to me, and like it'll be really well attended because everyone likes Sounds here because it's great. I used to go when before I started putting on shows. So no, not really, nothing outside of that.
Yeah, you should. Someone should.
Yeah, I think so. Should anyone that's listening? Yeah,
no, totally should. Yeah. So tell me about the time you put Part Chimp on.
The first time.
Yeah, no, well, the time the accommodation story is what we're after.
The accommodation story. Yeah.
It's some chimp, because you've got them coming up as well, right? So let's
talk
about
that. I try to quash any idea that I tell this story, and I've heard Tim on a podcast, and he told me, and he spoke about it then, so it's in the world now. So as well.
In the world.
So the last tour, the last album tour, the last day they played here, I put them on at Soup Kitchen, and it was the same day as I think it was Liverpool were playing Manchester City, and there must have been something else on as well, because I tried to buy them. It was in the deal. It was in the deal that I'd buy them hotels, which is fair enough. But it's really hard to get accommodation here when there's football on or there's something else. And I don't know what the other something else was, but it was something like £500 for 2 hotel rooms that day. And that only ever happens when the Tory party conference is here soon. It's the same thing. It's just the bane of my life trying to navigate Premier Inns and travel lodges in the local area and stuff. So what I should have done, I should have bought them a hotel. I should have got them somewhere just outside of town, just fairly locally. But I thought I can't remember where they were coming up from. So I thought I'd find them somewhere in the city centre. Or as close to the city centre as possible. And the only place I could find was this place called, I've tried to bleach it from my mind. I can't remember what the place is called now, but I think it was called the Ram and Shackle. I think that's what it was called. And so I just booked it without thinking. And the show was great. It was like them and Mums and Bodies on Everest. And it was a great time. And, you've seen Part Chimp enough knows, it's always great. It's, everything else. After the show, I got back from, I was on my way home in a cab and they'd already got to the hotel, and I got a phone call from Tim saying, we're not angry. We're not angry, but I'm really sorry, but we can't stay in this place. And it's not far from here. It's only about 20, I think it's only 10, 15 minutes away, a drive from my flat. So I was like, okay, it's fine. You can stay over. And I was dying. I was absolutely dying of embarrassment, because you just try and it's the last thing you want to do is face situations like this. And he sent me a photo. He sent me an email saying that they weren't far away. And in this email, attached to this email was a lampshade that had a set of handcuffs in it. And I was like, what the fuck? And they arrived and they basically went through a list of things that confirmed this place to be a brothel, essentially. And it was all the doors had been kicked in. So none of them could lock because they'd been kicked in so many times. There were handcuffs in the lampshades. And there was I think they said there was a pimp outside or something when they were getting the cab back to here, and there was kicking off with something and stuff. And I was Tim and Johnny thought it was really funny. It was really, really funny. And that was the biggest relief to me, because I was just oh no, I'm never going to, So I just thought this would be all over the internet really quickly,
It's why people always go to your Premier Inns and your travel lodges.
So you don't stay in a brothel unconscious.
Well, because you don't know, do you? If you're going to stay in the Rum and Shackle or whatever you call it, it could be anything. I think it's probably why so many people eat McDonald's and whatnot. Because it's a 3 out of 10 meal.
Yeah.
You're guaranteed a 3 out of 10 meal. You're not going to risk it. No,
you don't take chances. Never take chances. Don't be adventurous. No.
Yeah. 3 out of 10. I'll take that. Let's do it.
Yeah. So my knowledge of local brothels maybe wasn't it. Maybe it's exactly where it should have been. Maybe not what it should be. But I think we're all laughing about it now. I think so. So
yeah, of course. Yeah. And so you're putting them on again. What other gigs have you got coming up?
I've got Alison Cotton in a few weeks. Do you know that? Have you heard that record? I
haven't heard it. No.
On here, so it's this really dark, haunting, folk music. And she's amazing. She's got great presence and stuff. And I'm really looking forward to that. I'm putting on Yourselves, the rock band Hey Colossus. That's
I've heard of them.
Yeah. A week before. Oh yeah, it was a few weeks before Part Chimp, putting on Big Lad in December. I'm putting on Hattis Noi next month. Is an electronic kind of opera singer from operatic singer, I suppose, from Japan. And Woad, a black metal band from here. There was this new album this year. That's great. And they're certainly not Fash, so that's reassuring. I know all of them, so that's good.
Good news.
Yeah. Pigs. I'm doing another hip hop show. It's really exciting by a guy called Pink Sifu. He's just released a new record called Gumbo, and that's mint. That's great.
Cool.
Electronic artist called Lyra Pramuk. Again's amazing. I'm doing like a jazz band from Bristol called Run Logan Run in December. I'm really excited about. They're like a kind of heavy spiritual jazz jam thing. It sounds mint. Right. And I'm doing a band from Newcastle called Smoke, who just signed to Rocket Recordings.
Smart.
That's coming up at the end of November. And from what I heard of their previous records, that's really good. And then loads next year.
Yeah, you got Nod. Have you got doing Nod, or is that?
Not this time, no.
Yeah, I see that playing. I see. So from what you say, this is all coming up in the next sort of 6 to 8 weeks, or what? Like
pretty much, yeah. From October onwards, yeah, it's going to be pretty full on.
And that seems to be the case for everyone and everywhere, right?
Yeah.
How have you dealt with the last year or two?
It's weird that there's retrospect with it all now, isn't it? Do you find that, like you coming out of it and you kind of look back on the whole thing whilst we're still very much in it, really okay, like all right, to be honest. Like I worked at Ticketmaster since 2015. Just working in the post stream there. And I got made redundant last summer, but I was kept on furlough till the end of October. And then I worked in a warehouse after that till the end of May. And then again, fortunately, this is free working at Sounds actually. Like I got to work at they have the Manchester International Festival there. So I worked for them for 2 weeks and just about getting enough work being freelance after that. So really, I've got nothing to complain about. I mean, it's been stressful and everything, but after the initial this is going to be a really long time, and everybody had that. It's like, well, this isn't going away, and we're all going to have to acclimatize that. Like, fine, really. And I mean, I feel really fortunate that I can come back to this. I think that's the thing after all, the last 18 months is that. Yeah, just feel fortunate that, I'm doing again what I've always wanted to do. And yeah, I really appreciate that now, maybe more than I ever did, really.
I think people will. Like, I went to see, I saw the band Sex Swing over the weekend.
Oh, right. I'm putting them on as well. Yeah, as you said.
Yeah, so I saw them and you could tell that people were just so keen for it.
Yeah. It's a bit weird that I've been to a few things. I've worked more gigs than I've actually gone to for pleasure since it all opened up again. And I know it's the first few was a bit pensive, just because it's just weird, isn't it? It's just weird seeing people you don't know after prioritizing who you meet so long and things like that. And I thought it'd be revelatory the first few gigs I went to, and it was a bit, I don't know, still a bit cautious. I think when it becomes normal, then everyone will just be like, that will be the revelation to everybody when you don't have to think about lateral flow tests or whatever. That's when the real revelation will stink in. And I'm not quite there yet, but I think it's coming. I think by next spring, it'll just be wow, again, choice, just having choice again will be really for real. Yeah.
Be good. So, the main reason we're speaking is to talk about records.
Yes. Yeah.
It turns out that the first part of these chats is now longer than the record part, but so I send you a list.
Yep.
You pick some records.
Yeah.
I'm sure we'll relate them back to the gigs you put on and whatever else. So let's crack in with it with a record from your favorite record shop.
Yeah, well, we have, again, we're very fortunate to have Piccadilly Records here in Manchester. It's been going for God knows how long now, and it's reputable, incredibly reputable. I'm not sure I have favourites, but I'd probably go there more than any other record shop in the last 10 years or so. And picked this up from there a few years ago, and kind of been consistent ever since. This is Songs of Innocence by David Axelrod.
Sorry, what record shop was it you said?
Piccadilly Records.
Piccadilly. All right, yeah. So
Yeah.
Mm.
And I didn't know anything about them until I heard this. This is where did I heard this? Oh yeah, Kikaku Moyo. Kikaku, they recommended this to me, and I'd never heard of him before. And yeah, this got reissued after some years or something like that. And yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing, like arrangements, and just it's the longest half an hour long record I think I own. It's really weird. I don't think like it's just like really got full of like instrumentation and stuff like that. And you think you re-listen to it, you think this is going to last for like an hour and a bit, but it's just half an hour, and it's nuts. It's really, really crazy.
Let's have a look at the sleeve again.
Sure.
Yeah, it's of its time, isn't it? Look at that.
Yeah.
Is it? I do have a record or two by him, and is it? And maybe you'll know. Is he did one where he wrote a Zombies album or an album for the Zombies?
Oh right, wow.
It didn't come out or something, and he ended up releasing it himself. I was wondering if it was that one.
No, I don't think so. This is he's Mad Villain's no, what's his name? Madlib. He's Madlib's favorite artist.
Yeah.
It's like just samples and things like that. And I just I listen to some podcasts, and there's loads of stories of him just, using studios and things like that, and like the people he worked with and stuff. It was wicked. It's really, really cool. And kind of like the time, I suppose, like you couldn't make a half an hour record with like an orchestra and various other things that entails with this one now. It's just like there isn't a budget for it, but like in 1971 or whenever this came out, that seems perfectly feasible. It does sound like that as well. It's really, really cool.
What label is it on?
It is Universal. Now Again.
Yeah, that guy's involved. What's his name? Egon something or other. He's involved with a lot of reissue of that sort of lesser known, rare sort of funk stuff as well.
Right.
Interesting label, yeah.
Right, I should follow it really. I didn't follow the label after I heard this, but I will do now. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I've even got some like James Brown stuff on that label, and whatever else.
Right. Class.
Yeah, he's cool. So record with memories.
Memories. Did you say you don't like rock bands that don't have a bass player?
No, okay.
I might have misquoted you here. But...
No. Here's my thing. I think that you can be good without a bass player.
Right.
But you're always going to be better with a bass player.
In fact, you know what? No, that's the wrong one. That's is there like a record with nostalgia as well? Sorry, I've forgotten the
record with memories is we'll go for that one.
Oh, you know what? I'll change my answer. We'll get back to the no bass player thing. Like,
work out who it's going to be. Who's going to be?
So record of memories. This one. This is Bong and Beyond Ancient Space. And it kind of goes what I was saying before. We were talking about the whole thing about like when all those psych festivals were popping up, and I wanted to think about like what I really wanted to do and things like that. And I kind of just discovered Bong around that time, and it was one of them of like my interpretation of what psychedelic music was like perfectly encapsulated in that band. And just that run of records is amazing. Just like from the first one, and the first one on was just nuts. It's just nuts, like how consistent it is and all that. And it was kind of like really listening to them and like Nods and Shit and Shine and things like that. I kind of really decided that's what I wanted to do, or like that end of things. And so like 2014 is pretty much all I listened to was Bong and things like that. So pretty important, really, like pretty pivotal record. Like,
all right, is that Mike Vest's band?
Yes, yeah.
Well, one of the people in the band is Mike. It might not be his band. Yeah. So your idea of psychedelic music is because like people say that sort of music is just sort of should be out there and wild and whatnot. Okay. So in like the 60s, Love and all those sort of bands kind of were, right? Because it was
because
they were the first to do it. So if you're still doing that 50 years later and you're just basically playing indie rock with a wah-wah pedal,
yeah,
like it's not pushing anything, is it? Whereas what you say there, your bong and shit and shine and nod and stuff, like they would never say they were psychedelic music.
No.
But they were pushing things in a way that, is that how you see it? Or
yeah, pretty much. I think it's like what we were saying before. I mean, the problem with like the idea of psychedelia as a music genre is that it's like it's subjective to an individual, you know, like it's an individual experience. So the idea that, yeah, if you wear kaleidoscopic shirts and have reverb pedals, then you're psych by default.
yeah,
You know, it's a nonsense. It just doesn't, like, you know, and that was kind of the thing. Like I just didn't kind of feel like that was appropriate to be promoting stuff like that, as, you know, I'd be a psychedelic promoter or something, because it just felt like a nonsense, you know. I didn't believe this. I didn't believe where I was coming from this. And yeah, it was just like listening to stuff like, you know, yeah, again, like Bong and Earth and things like that. And I saw Sun at Hellfest in like 2012 or something like that. And that's the most psychedelic experience I've had, you know, ever, as far as like total transcendence goes. And that's about as far away from, you know, whatever Brian Jonestown Massacre or whatever that you can possibly think of. So the idea that you could package it as something was like, well, yeah, it was just a nonsense, really. So I didn't want to pay it any more attention after that, really.
yeah, I'm entirely with you. Yeah. on that, it was very, very wise of you to have.
Yeah, I think so. And again, it was one of them. It was like, if I just persisted, if I was like a really genre specific promoter, I'd only do like 4 or 5 gigs a year, and it'd be like, you know, it's just not how I consume music. You know, I don't think it is. I don't think, generally speaking, that's how people consume music. So yeah, I just want to be like, just be honest about it, really, you know.
Yeah, no, that's it. I think virtually everyone I know will go through phases of having like 3 days or whatever of only listening to one sort of thing. It's like only listening to punk rock for 3 days. It's like, oh yeah, this is the best thing ever. But then day 4, you'll go and put like a Stevie Wonder album on or whatever.
Yeah.
And then you'll have 2 or 3 days of going, oh man, like this is the best thing, you know. And like that's how people are, right? That's how people.
Yeah, for sure. And I think as well, I think kind of scene culture. I mean, that's the kind of the people who were the kind of people who I spoke to at the time who were kind of put off by me doing like metal and things like that. They were very much in the idea that psychedelia was like a scene or a community of things like that. And I just think that doesn't really exist in maybe my generation, like onwards, just with the internet and things like that. You just don't tribally consume music anymore.
No.
You know, with things like Spotify and things like that. And, you know, just the world we live in, the amount of information that you have, it doesn't really exist, I don't think, anymore.
No, exactly. I agree, because it's like I say all the time, but my kids will discover one band and then 2 days later they're onto another band and then another band, and their world has blown up like this in a way that when I was young, it stayed like this for years, as I was just like heavy metal, and then suddenly it slowly expanded. But yeah, you're right. Now, like it's like that immediately.
Yeah. I mean, it's almost like you kind of don't have any choice but to be eclectic now. I think, you know, if you really get into it, if you really get into like buying records and stuff like that, then just as I think, like, if you are buying records now, you're buying records by people who like make, you know, who listen to so much now that you don't have a choice but to widen your palette anymore.
Well, even your first 2 records, from David Axelrod to Bong, like that's a big that's a big step, right there.
I think so, barely. Yeah. I don't want to like come across as I'm being Captain Eclectic either. I think it's just, I honestly think it's just the time that we live in now, really.
Yeah. Well, one of the groups I've got down that you've put on, I don't know if it's a future gig, but it should be if it is Moor Mother.
Moor Mother, yeah, that was a month before all this. Before the pandemic, that was Moor Mother.
Yeah, how was that?
Yeah, it was amazing. It was great. It was really, really, really cool. Like, she's really sound as well. Like, she's probably somebody that, just by who she is and what she believes in deserves any kind of notoriety that she's getting. She seems, with the new one, she seems to be getting a lot of like attention.
Yeah.
And yeah, she's just cool, man. Really, really, really cool. There was something, I think a friend of mine told me that when she played in London, I think she ended up making no money from it or something, because like she gave all of her fee to like her backing band so they could come over and play with her. She's in a jazz band called, what they call it, Irreversible Entanglements and things like that. And she just like, yeah, like gave a fee up so they could come over and play with her. And so, you know, they could play to people in London and stuff. And
yeah, that's who I wanted to mention, that band, Irreversible Entanglements, because I love that group.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like when you she doesn't did not under Moor Mother on there. She's under like her real name, which I can't remember, but it's under her real name on there. So people might not know that she's in that group.
Yeah.
If you like out there spiritual sort of jazz sort of, like, it's really excellent. And they
yeah. Like that record Brass that she put out last year with Billy Woods.
Yeah,
it's one of my favorite records the last few years. It's just nuts. Really, really cool.
And she's on the Bug album. She's on the new Bug
album.
Yeah. Yeah, like only doing good things. Only and I just like mention it because it's one of the things you've put on, and that would be a great thing to do again, I reckon.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, whenever she wants. Yeah. I mean that guy Pink Sifu, she was on his last album as well, and he's very much in the same vein as her. It's great. Yeah. It's like, you know, seems like really willing to use a platform to help, like, you know, the people around her and stuff, you know, and I firmly believe she'll do that, you know, have whatever success she has. So yeah, firmly want to do Moor Mother again.
Yeah. Wise. Bargain find.
I don't have as many secondhand records as I should do. I found this for $5 a few years ago. This is Mammatus.
Cool. You can read that.
You can just about read that. Have you heard of these?
I'm not sure. I don't think so.
They're like so this maybe this was released on Rocket. I'm not sure. This was like in 2006. They're like a power trio from San Francisco, and it's one of them. They probably missed the boat with that whole Roadburn festival thing by a few years, because if you listen to that now, you'd believe like they'd be playing every festival like that for the last 10 years. And it's just great. It's just like, you know, it's really satisfying when rock music's done really well. And yeah, that is one of them. Like, it's a really good combination of like cosmic and like krauty stuff with just like really like the best things about stoner rock that like get you into it initially.
It doesn't look like that sort of band.
No. Do you want to see it again?
Yeah.
And the cover's wicked as well. It's really, really good. And yeah, that was a $5. That was a $5 off eBay, because I don't have a lot of bargains, I'm afraid. My stuff's pretty new for the most part. But yeah, I was chuffed. I was really, really chuffed when I found that.
Do you prefer buying new releases?
Generally speaking, yeah, I'm not much of a crate digger myself. You know, as far as like, yeah, finding bargains and stuff, yeah, most of my stuff is pretty new, or like,
well, as in like new, as in a new release, like, you know, out today, rather than a reissue of an old thing. Do you follow?
Oh, I mean, like, I'll buy reissues and stuff like that, but yeah, most of it is like, yeah, on sale, on sale reissues at the time and stuff like that. Like, I'm not really up for, but I know I think it's hard to find bargains now, really, as well. You know, just trawling through stuff and things like that. I've got a few things that like I've bought secondhand and things like that, but they've been quite rubbish. So they've been cheaper than that. So yeah, £5. £5 is like the best bargain I have.
Yeah. No, it's you need time to do it, and the world has changed in regards to that sort of stuff anyway.
Yeah. I was talking to a friend of mine, like, you know, a few years ago. I don't know if this ever reached like your end of the world, but you know, like there was a thing, kind of the start of the millennium, where like people were finding like Lowry's, you know, literally original Lowry paintings in their attics and things like that in and around Manchester that were worth like fortunes and things like that. And it's just doesn't happen anymore, because everyone's kind of ransacked their attics in the meantime. And yeah, I saw a friend who he buys lots of records, and he kind of said like the same things happen with records now. You know, people they're aware of the commodities they have now.
Yeah, well, one of the previous guests was another band you've put on. I think you put the Heads on, right?
Yeah. Paul and that. Yeah. I've not listened to that one yet.
So that was a previous, and he's a real like digger for that. He does all the charity shops in the whole of the Southwest.
Yeah.
And yeah, that even charity shops are aware of the value of things. So.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So. So the next one I send is Bought on Tour. Now, you said you don't play music, but you've seen enough tours and you've traveled, I guess. So
yeah, this is so I got this on holiday on tour. We'll call going on holiday tour. This is the Shiver Walpurgis. This is it's a Swiss band. It's not like, it's one of them, it's not that much of an extraordinary record when you listen to it. It's quite like West Coast kind of pop, really. And it was nothing like this, but this is, the artwork is by Giger, the guy that did the set design for Alien and stuff before he got found out before he went to Hollywood and did set design and stuff like that. And I found that in Berlin, and just thought like, why not, really? You know, I'd have bought that anyway if I didn't know that beforehand. And whilst it's not the best record, really, it's just like the art's just like great and it looks like his stuff. So like, I thought, why not? And another one, just have a look at this now. This is another one. This is Shinki Shen. This is like a Japanese. Have you heard this before?
I haven't. I think I've read it about it in Julian Copes.
Yeah. Jack Rock sampler and all that. Yeah. That was in.
There we are. Oh.
Yeah. I've got that copy. Yeah.
It's a good book if anyone. Yeah.
Have you got Krautrock sampler? Have you?
No, it's way too expensive now.
Yeah. I've heard he won't. He won't do reissues of them either. Apparently, he's very staunch on.
I think you can pick up like a German version for a reasonable price. But...
Right.
Yeah. Anyhow, sorry. Yeah, talk about that.
Yeah, I don't know an awful lot about it. Again, it's like when I was just found, like when I was just looking through some blogs and I heard it, and it's just wicked. It's just like really blissed out, like it's heavy psych stuff from the 70s and things like that. And I was just trawling through. There's this place called Mauer Park in Berlin. It's like a Sunday, just like just a Sunday market in like the north of Berlin. And just find loads of stuff. There's really good records in there. So I think all the shops go there on Sundays and stuff. Just take a bunch of stock down and that. And I just found that there, and I thought I'd have to go to Japan to find stuff like that. So I was well happy, really, really happy.
Yeah.
So go to Berlin if you want to buy if you want to find decent records. Like sack off Britain and go to Berlin instead.
Are you a record shop trawler when you go on holidays regularly, or?
Yeah. I mean, like I do try and find, if there are record shops, I will try and go there. Like, you know, because you just never know, innit? You just don't know what you're going to find. And like, there's another really good one in Berlin that's called Lefter Records, where it was, again, pre-pandemic. I'm not sure what the currency is now, but that's like got loads of great Anatolian stuff. So stuff like, Selda and things like that. And there's like Turkish arts from like, last 50 years of stuff is great. Really, really good.
What about going to gigs? Do you when you go to gigs, let's start with being abroad. Do you do that regularly?
Yeah. I mean, it's one of them. Like I do so many gigs when I go on holiday. I try not to, it's not the first thing I want to think about. But we saw Monster Magnet in Germany. That was mint. Going to like a rock gig in Germany. Like, Germans do like rock music really well, really well. And what else to see? So Lydia Lunch in Berlin a few years ago. That was wicked. And we go to the Guess Who, that festival in Utrecht. Every year. We're hoping to go again in November. And that's amazing. That's like the best festival experience I've had.
Right. Yeah. Is that
probably in my adult life, to be honest? It's just great. It's really, really.
Do they do that? Is it at DB's, that venue?
Yeah.
What a place. Yeah. We played there with Working Man Noise Unit.
Right.
Yeah, such a great venue. God,
Yeah. Just like, I don't know, just like all those venues are great there. Just like, I don't know, I really lost kind of the verve, or like, you know, whatever the impetus you have for going to music festivals a long time ago. Because I don't drink personally. I've been straight edge since I was about 16. And it just got to a point where I can't be arsed with this anymore. You know, it's like super normal. Like I hear what everyone says about super normal. I'm sure it's amazing, but I just don't want to camp in a field. So again, just really got.
Yeah. It's like, well, 50% of people's positive stories about those things are, I got drunk.
Yeah. I mean,
it can skew the whole evening. The whole evening goes that way. And like, because I'm with you, so I'm in the same similar boat. So you're sort of still here, and everyone else's evening's gone woof.
Yeah. I mean, it's fine. I mean, I can't, like, you know, I've never, you know, I think I said this is, you know, not so long ago, you know, I'm not I don't know anybody who's like, you know, hardcore straight edge, and I probably wouldn't like them if I did, and that's certainly not my outlook or anything, but like, I know what my good time is, and it's not 4 a.m. in a field somewhere.
No, it's booking bands into brothels at 4 a.m.
Yeah, absolutely.
Another good night.
I just won't turn my phone on next time. Yeah.
Night in Manchester. So, a record that people.
You should see what you're staying. You know.
Actually, we are staying up in. I would talk afterwards, but we are staying up there for a couple of days after we play.
All right, fair enough.
Record that people wouldn't think that you'd be into.
This is the this goes back to the whole thing about like no bass and all that kind of thing. In fact, do you mind if I have two? Is that okay?
Oh my God, please do. Careful.
You there? Oh, there you are. So yeah, this is Elephant. I'm sure I don't have to tell people this. This is like Elephant by the White Stripes. And this is one of them. This is just pure nostalgia. This is like living in West Wales when you know, all you have is magazines and like music TV and stuff. And you know, I'm sure this is sacrilege to a lot of people, but yeah, it's just pure nostalgia. Like, I bought that on the day it came out when I was 14 or something like that. And yeah, I just can't help it. Just like, you know, just has that hook of like, you know, yeah, just a moment in your life where like, you know, you really like a record and, you know, it means something to you, I suppose. And personally still think it stands up. I don't listen to it all the time, but yeah.
Odd band. White Stripes are odd, right? Because they were like first 3 records, I think, were on Sympathy for the Record Industry or one of those, like, yeah,
something like that. Yeah.
And like they were playing with the Headcoats and Billy Childish and all that, and they were just like a little garage rock band. And like they just like that album's on XL, right? So they
yeah.
They just totally blew up. Like, it's so weird. And then people don't talk about them in the way that it feels to me that if they hadn't have signed to XL, they'd released 3 or 4 records on like a little garage rock label. People would still talk about them more now than they do, despite the fact they got arena big.
Yeah. I suppose maybe it's just like I don't meet a lot of people who, you know about what, you know, the records before this one, I suppose.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just like.
Yeah. I think the story, because here's the thing, I worked at the distributor when that record came out.
Right.
2 things. One, you know, like you get promo CD. Maybe you don't so much now, but back then it was like promo CDs and whatever. They didn't do that. They did promo double vinyl.
Oh right! Wow.
So yeah, they did like just plain sleeve promos for that album and sent that out for review. They didn't send CDs out, which was insane. And XL agreed.
Yeah.
But I think that XL signed them because XL was based at Beggar's Banquet, and someone might correct me on all of this, but I'm sticking with it. So tough. The XL was under Beggar's Banquet, the bigger label, and they were based in West London near Rough Trade. And I think Rough Trade, the record shop, told them to sign them.
Oh, right. Wow.
Right. It sold so
right.
many copies of the Sympathy records that they were like, okay, yeah, this is a big deal here.
Yeah. Maybe. Yeah.
Yeah, and I wonder how often that happens.
Have you read his book? What's his name? Richard Armitage, the guy that runs XO Records.
Oh, no.
It's a pretty decent read. I read it at Christmas. Like, yeah, it's a pretty decent insight of like that kind of goes back to what the Fat White Family thing was, just pot luck of like he went to raves with like Liam Hewitt and things like that. They were the same age, and then it turned out he ended up working for a record label. And the Prodigy needed a record label, and it just like works out like that. Yeah. There's loads of things like that. It's really interesting. Just of like, yeah, just most of it you just like, you know, went completely unplanned. Yeah. Things like that. Yeah,
just you got to be part of it to make it happen, right? Like
yeah.
You always see people saying, "Oh, it's not working out for me," because they're just sitting at home and not getting involved. Like you need to go to the gig. You need to go, you know, for instance, to get a gig. If you're more likely to get a gig for the Beauty Witch if you go to your gigs, right? I would have thought. If it was a Manchester band and you're like, oh man, I'd love to support, I don't know, Sumac or whoever the hell you're putting on. If you go to the gig and speak to you and being involved, right? More like
I mean, I know, and that is hard for some people, but it is right. I mean, if you're in a band and I see you and you're really good, I'm probably going to put you on. You know, that's better though. You know, it's better than networking. It's better than like Spotify streams or anything like that. It's like, you know, it's visually something in front of me that I can go like, well, that's, you know, an experience I can take away and go like, yeah, I'd love to do that. And like maybe that's that thing in his case, like, you know, he had the zeitgeist of like, you know, contemporary Britain at the time, and it was just his mates, and like, you know, it just works like that sometimes, you know.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. You had two. Did you say you had two?
Yes, I had two, and maybe some people, I don't know. Like, where is it? Hang on. So is this it? Yeah, this is it. This is Rum Sodomy and the Lash by the Pogues. It's just great, isn't it? It's just like,
it is.
Really don't like that Christmas tune. Like I really, really don't like it. And like the one after this is really good, but it's like the fourth tune on it is the Christmas tune. It's really annoying, you know, like when you're listening to it in like June or something like that, you know, it's like I can't escape this in Christmas. I want to escape it every other time of the year. So Rum Sodomy and the Lash, it's just great. Like you know, like he writes really good tunes, and they were kind of like the perfect mix of like punk and like traditional Irish music. And there were loads of bands. What's that band from Boston who do that but are really bad?
I think it could be the Dropkick Murphys. I was going to say the Mighty Bosstones, but yeah.
Oh right. I've never listened to them, you know. But
I think they're more scary, but like they do, yeah.
Right. I hate that.
I think you're right. By the way, I think you're right with Dropkick Murphys. First off, I think that's right. Yeah. And, that record, that Rum's, it's amazing.
Yeah. It's class. It's really, really good. And I mean, like he's gonna be known forever just being on the sesh for God knows how long. But like, like that's a mint record. Really, really, I used to listen to that loads when I first found it. God, whenever that was, I think I've just after I moved back, I listened to that. I just listened to that all the time. It was really, really, really good. And I've not found a contemporary version of the Pogues that I could like, you know, they could worthy of their name. But when it comes, I'm definitely doing it.
But but the thing is with the Pogues is it's so genuine.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Like, you're going to struggle to match that. You can always tell. Like, did you watch the thing on? God, must have been within the last year. I think it was on the BBC or something. It was the Pogues, the film about Shane MacGowan and.
Oh yeah, I watched about half. Yeah, I watched about half of it. I think I can't remember why I didn't finish it. Maybe too much Johnny Depp, probably.
Yeah. Oh yeah. He does the interviews in the pub, doesn't he? But it's got like
Yeah.
what's his face from Sinn Féin in it, and all this sort of stuff. It's quite sort
Oh,
of
Jerry had.
yeah. It's quite like yeah. He's quite his politics are pretty sort of. This is where I stand. It's pretty
Yeah.
radical.
Yeah.
You know, I that documentary is brilliant though. Like his whole story from like, you know, if anyone hasn't watched it, go and watch it because it's quite.
Yeah. I think as well as like, when I was growing up, you think of Irish music and it's like, it's U2 and whatever, it's bollocks. It's nowhere near. It's like, really good stuff. It's like, yeah, the Pogues and yeah, things of that ilk, really.
Yeah, I agree. It's a brilliant record. So the last thing I ask is favorite 10-inch and your thoughts on the much maligned format.
Sure. I don't have many. You know what? Just speaking about memories, like music with memories. Do you mind if I add another one to that? Because it involves you. It might involve you. I'm not sure.
So that sounds. I might have to say no.
So this is a reissue of a band called Kong.
All right. Oh,
who are from here, and I might have seen you with them, maybe.
Possible.
Does that ring a bell at all?
It's possible. We've played. There's a few Kongs. We've
Yeah.
We've played with more than one Kong.
Yeah, they were a pretty special band to me because there was like there's two gigs where like I kind of started going away from what I was reading as gospel as far as like guitar music was, and one of them was part Chimp and the other one was Kong. Like I saw Kong in like there's a bar here called Big Ands. I'd never seen a band in a bar before. This was like 2007 or something like that. And yeah, just great. Kind of just like I'd never heard the Jesus Lizard or anything like that before. And yeah, there was just kind of like an ode to all that kind of stuff and Big Black and things like that. It was amazing. It totally changed my perception of what loud, heavy guitar music was at the time. And the other one was a few years later, actually. And this does involve you because you played it. It was like when I saw Part Chimp at Islington Mill with Defscalator. Was it you, Defscalator, in Part Chimp?
Yes. Oh, well, it was. Yeah. Was it?
Yeah.
As well.
Yeah,
kind of. Yeah.
Oh, really? Wow. Well, but I think I'd never been to Islington Mill before, so I got lost on the way there. And I think I walked in before whoever the band that was playing before Part Chimp was. So I was been in the same room as you about 14 years ago. I have no idea.
I don't remember that so clearly that night, which is surprising, everything considered. Yeah.
I only mentioned Kong because I think I can't remember if you were supposed to be on that bill, if you didn't end up playing anyway. But yeah, maybe I've seen. And
I want to say that we played and it was put. Maybe I'll ask her, but I have a feeling that Joe from Breaking Colts put it on.
Yes. Yeah.
Does that sound right? Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. But I've not seen Joe for a while, but next time I will ask her about it.
Yeah, I have a feeling that rings a bell. And here's the thing, I think that's the only night where the merch, in all the years we've ever done music, the only night where a load of our merch got stolen.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And like, I was like, oh, whatever sort of thing. And I often wondered what they would have done with like 25 copies of Project Death. Like a third album that sounds like it's been recorded for a mattress.
Yeah.
Whatever. Like, what are you doing? What are you done with it?
And when there's no Lowry's left in the attic,
Yeah, I remember that. And what's the name of the venue?
Oh, I don't know. Big Ands. I saw them at Big Ands, but it might not have been that show. I'll have to talk to her about it because it's all a bit hazy.
It was somewhere I've never been before or since. I know that. But let's talk about the Islington Mill, actually.
Yes. Yeah.
Because to me, that's a really, really important venue in this country.
Yeah, for sure. Sadly, not a venue anymore, unfortunately.
Will it go back to being a venue?
I don't know. I don't know what the deal of it. I think there's a lease on the space. I think it's a printing press now, a printer's press. Oh, maybe. I'm not sure. I'm not sure of the fabric of that whole thing. But yeah, my first insights into that place were crazy. I think Parchint was the first thing I went to there, and then I saw Sun and Lightning Bolt 2 days in a row. I think it was like, was it Sun? Yeah, it was Sun first, and then Lightning Bolt like the day afterwards.
Yeah, Islington Mill.
Yeah. It was nuts. It was like really eye opening on like two different extremes. Like I didn't see the whole of Sun because it was just like completely oppressive.
Yeah.
And like they'd filled the whole room with smoke and you couldn't see anything and stuff. And they had the support was a guy, I can't remember his name now. Well, in fact, it wasn't even a person. It was billed as a support act with a name. I think his name was like BJ Nielsen or something like that. And it wasn't a person. It was just a tape of like harsh noise that finished just before they started. So they just came on and then they started. So it's just like you have like an hour of harsh noise and then the sun just like came on and all the amps were on. It was like quadraphonic and things like that. And I think Attila was with them then. And yeah, it was phenomenal. But yeah, just couldn't survive it because I think I've lasted about 40 minutes. It's just, I just have to leave this place. But yeah, surreal, really, really surreal. And then Lightning Bolt played the day afterwards with a band called Tweakbird. I don't know if you remember them.
I remember them, yeah.
Yeah. And they played in the middle of the floor, and it was just like, yeah, completely opposite, just ferocious, absolutely ferocious. Like, you know, played for about half an hour or something, and it was like, yeah, life affirming. It was amazing. And yeah, that's what it was. I mean, that's very much what it was at the time. It was just like, if you want to see all that stuff, then you went to see Islington Mill, and then yeah, important. It was really important in my life going there. Certainly, it was even more important for a lot of people who are involved with it. Yeah, not only everyone involved it.
Yeah, for the, I could be wrong, so correct me. But it was like an old mill based in Salford, over a whole bunch of floors, and on other floors, other things happened. There was like maybe a studio and like I don't know, like art stuff. I've always assumed upstairs, like printing and whatnot. And it was like it felt like an enormous collective building.
Yeah.
Where excellence happened.
Like, yes.
From music festivals to art stuff to films and everything. And it was a marvelous place.
Yeah. I think it still is in some form. I think certainly in the art stuff, and I think there are warehouses behind it now. Like a warehouse unit has been turned into like an arts installation for so there's a venue there now and stuff, and they have studios and stuff. So it still exists. It's just not. I just think that room just isn't doing venues, isn't doing tunes anymore. There's another place, the place you're playing in November, called the White Hotel, which is kind of like taking the mantle of all that. It's a converted mechanics garage, and it's just been turned into this venue, and it's about 5 minutes away from Strangeways Prison.
Love it.
Yeah. And but no, it's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. Like the sound system there is incredible, and it's just like it's kind of like the home of electronic music, certainly, and like clubbing here now as like a venue, and they're also doing like like bands and stuff, and it's great. It's really, really, really good. So
exciting. That'd be fun. Looking forward to it.
Yeah.
10-inch. Tell me about. Have you got? What's your thoughts?
I haven't got a lot of these, to be honest. Like when you asked me, I asked my girlfriends, like, you know, have we got any? Like, I don't play them at all. So I've only got two. So I'll go through that. This is that's a Fat White Family split with a band called Tame and Should.
Yes, no, them. Yeah, we played with them. Yeah.
They were class, actually. I don't think they ever played here, or if they did, I never saw them. But all their releases were wicked. They're really, really good. So it's a bit battered. It's a bit warm, but just don't buy them. You know, I don't look for them. Yeah, just don't really like. You know, it's not something you ever reach for, really. And this is a band from Japan called Daedala, which features a member. It's an instrumental, like a power rock trio, and it has the old guitarist of that band Church of Misery.
Oh yeah, I remember them. Yeah.
And yeah, it's wicked. It's wicked. It's just just like really satisfying when rock music's done really well. And yeah, it's just like instrumental stuff, and it wigs out for half an hour or so. It's ace. It's really, really good. And that's it. That's my entire 10-inch collection.
There you go. 10-inch collection. So what? So you've got a whole pile of gigs coming up, October, November, and then how far ahead are you planned?
I've got stuff up until August next year, as of now, and it'll probably be that'll probably go into November, December next year. Because it's weird at the minute, because whilst it's back, it's not going to be back fully until all the bands from the States can come over and tour Europe safely.
Yeah.
So when that all kicks in again, I think again I've stood about when it'll be normal again. It'll probably feel normal when all that happens. So right now I was kind of presuming that would happen early next year, but I think the travel restrictions have just been eased or something, so it might happen sooner than that. But from it kind of feels by next spring onwards, when all the festivals are back in, that's like every band ever is going to be in Europe, it seems.
Yeah, because you've got so around Desert Fest, I'm assuming, are you putting Elder on?
I will do. I won't be doing them this time. They're playing a festival. I think Desert Fest is exclusive, and they're playing that Damnation Festival in November, a year away. So I won't be playing that. But no, I love them. They're great. They're really, really good.
Right, because you have put them on. I thought I saw tour dates, but no, I didn't. Did I?
Yeah. There are tour dates. It's just not with me. But I'll put them on. So yeah, looking forward. That'll be 2023 onwards. But amazing band. Amazing band. Like, he's just like that. Nick is just an amazing guitar player. It's really, really good. I didn't think I liked stuff like that anymore. I was kind of on the wane. Do you know when you find all that stoner stuff and you think it's amazing, and then you just get to the class feeling of all those bands?
That was this record for me. Exactly the same. Yeah. I felt like I was out of that world, and it dragged me back in a way that I was really surprised about.
Yeah. He hates it all as well. I've had long conversations about that. He hates all that stoner stuff. He just just does that. Yeah, it's like their take on all those kind of proto metal bands, I suppose. It's really good. It's really, really cool. He's just done an electronic synth based side project. I don't know if you've come across that. Delving, I think that's what it's called. Delving. It's just on that. I can't remember the name of the record labels. I'll send it to you. Later.
Cool. Delving. It's been really good talking.
Yeah, it has, for sure.
Yeah. And I'm sure there's more we could talk about, but I think we've covered a lot. It's good. I would quite like you to hold a poster or two before we finish.
Yes, sure.
That's okay. Yeah. Be it past or future, just like a feud, and talk about the artists you've dealt with and how that works. Because I love that side of things. I love the people that get involved in making the posters.
Sure. I've always seen that Fat White Family one, so that's over there. This is I'll show you the ones that I've really enjoyed. This is kind of like pillar shows. This one from a few years ago. That is, when the first time I did. Was it the first time? Only time I've put on Terminal Cheesecake. And Steve Miles from the now sadly defunct band Cattle did the artwork a few years ago. He's a tattoo artist now. He used to think this called Pyre Corner, and just thought his art was sick, and just asked him to do a poster, and he went all out with that one. That's great. It's really, really good. And that's one of my favorite gigs ever. Just some of them, after a while, you just think you're going to chase them forever for how much you enjoyed them at the time. And that was that was one of them that was like, Amphiprof didn't play it in the end because it was like awful traffic. It was just like getting up to Manchester on a Friday from down south. It's just the worst thing in the world, apparently. And it
is, but I can. It's total nightmare.
And they didn't. And then they didn't turn up. And think Terminal Cheesecake arrived like 10 minutes after the doors opened, things like that. And it was still amazing. It was just like, yeah, cattle blown out in Terminal Cheesecake. And it was just like, totally, like, you know, I think that's the thing, you know, when you see stuff and you're like, if I went to this as a punter, it'd be like, you know, it wouldn't lose anything, you know, it'd just be like amazing. I'd be as in awe of it as I was as a punter if I was putting it on. Yeah, that's like, you know, that's it. That's like, you know, everything that I want really. And yeah, it was top. It's really, really good. Yeah, and cool. This is the first time I put on Elder. This is by a guy called Dominic Sohor, who does shows around here. It's great. It's really, really good. Kind of captured everything I wanted from that.
Yeah.
It's top stuff. And they played with Cough, and Cough are like one of my favorite Doom bands ever, still are. So yeah, wanted to that was top. It was really, really good. And this one here, I've got to give Brett Savage, let him know. So I don't have a lot of posters from the last few years in the flat for whatever reason. I've not kept as many as I would have liked. So this is like one from a few years ago. This is like first time I put on Amphiprof. And Brett is in a band called Dead Sea Apes from around here. And it's been a massive support of me for a long time now. And he just wanted to get into it. He just wanted to get into, like, you know, doing poster illustrations and things like that. And I suppose just like, didn't know anybody who did it enough. And I just let him, just said, yeah, sure. And his work's great. He's been doing it now for me for a long time, like a really, really long time. And just like smashes it every time. It's like a really great aesthetic. And one of like the best people I've met for doing this as well. So yeah, this is his moment. This is his moment on this podcast.
Yeah.
And this is one of the first ones. This is, ever come across White Fence?
I don't know.
So White Fence was a guitarist in the US version of The Fall.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah.
So, like, I believe as it goes, there were two versions of The Fall, depending on like where they were on tour, and he was like, in the band of when they were like tour into California and things like that. And that's one of the first shows I did. That's from December 2013, and that was done by Olya Dyer, who's in a band called the Underground Youth. And it's just class, just really, really good. As a benchmark, a pretty good start of where I was going to go. And this is my own work, and it's just come in front of me, so I'll do this. This is the first time I met you. That's
oh yeah, hold it up, go a little bit higher so we can see. Yeah, the Roadhouse. I remember that.
Yeah. And I think if I remember rightly, I just emailed you and Jimmy from Teeth of the Sea and various other people in bands incessantly until you had any plans to tour, because that's what I thought I was supposed to do. And I think your emails is like, you and Part Chimp had some dates in, and he was like, would you like to do Part Chimp as well as us? I was like, yes, I was. So,
I'd rather have Part Chimp and you can stay behind.
And it was great. Yeah. So that's my own. That's was as good as my skills at Photoshop were at the time, and it's what they still are now. So I don't do that as much anymore, but
this goes back to your fear of technology from right back.
Yes, absolutely. Sound engineering and graphic design, it's just not for me. It's not for me at all. That's where that show also was, where the that dressing room graffiti happened. Where, what is it, like part chimp plus reggae equals Hey Colossus?
I remember.
So, I'll hold that and the brothel story. You can have. I'll lay claim to both of them if you want.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah. Smart. They're looking good. Looking forward to seeing you in November.
Yeah. It's nice. It'll be nice to see you. It'll be nice. It's nice to see anybody, but nice to see you.
It's well, like I saw Sexting the other night, and it was just good to see faces, familiar faces.
Yeah.
It was just good to get back in the fold. It's going to be good fun. Yeah,
absolutely.
So let's wave goodbye, and then we'll wave and we'll say goodbye, and then I'll press stop, and then we'll say goodbye properly.
Cool. Sure.
So, go see the gigs that Sammy's putting on.
Yes, please do. Thank you, Joe. Thank you for having me.